I'd like to preface this video by saying that for the more sensitive topic on this subject, I did attempt to contact Kenny beforehand through Instagram and his business email in order to obtain permission to discuss it, but he did not respond. It's of course not his fault as he is a very busy guy, but I just wanted to put that in there to say that I did actually reach out, and I know I'm portraying this to be worse than it is, but yeah. Anyways, here's the video. Kenny Beecham, formerly known as X-Jaree, now known as King of the Fourth Quarter, is an incredibly prominent basketball and 2K YouTuber. In fact, he's so prominent, or I would argue talented, that he has achieved the goal that most rising content creators aspire to, and that is breaking through into the mainstream of their specific genre. His podcast is partnered with House of Highlights, a very big brand in social media for basketball, and he has even managed to secure his own talk show called Talking Tape, where he looks at specific plays with all different types of NBA players, ranging from Pat Connaughton to Trae Young. Even with the pandemic we are living in, he is grinding 3 separate channels, albeit 2 of them are essentially reaction channels. Nonetheless, considering the effort he puts into his main channel videos, in addition to the fact that the virus has seemingly zapped a significant portion of creators of their creativity and drive, I consider the aforementioned a pretty incredible feat. Plus, he's been uploading daily in a pretty consistent manner for the past 6 months. Now, I know I've elaborated on how much I enjoy his content and admire what he's been able to accomplish, but I admire a lot of different people in a lot of different genres. What's so special about Kenny that makes me want to make a video on him? Well, from what I have observed, Kenny is the optimal role model for how people in the public light, whether that be YouTubers or actual celebrities, should handle and portray their own disorders. Now, right off the bat, I bet that I have lost a lot of people who don't even know or realize that Kenny had a disorder. And that is a part of the point that I will definitely get to later. But first, it's essential to establish the disorder itself. Longtime viewers of the KOT4Q channel will know this longtime pattern, or meme, and I put that in quotation marks because I'm not a fan of that terminology, where Kenny consistently mixes up 2 players' names or just gets a player's name wrong completely. The reason for this is something he has brought up in a couple different videos, and that is the fact that he has dyslexia, which is a learning disorder that is characterized by having a difficult time reading, specifically mixing up words and identifying how said words are sounded out. To me, this makes his meteoric rise even more impressive, because when you are somebody who is attempting to become either a sports broadcaster or analyst, words and players' names are practically your language. Getting completely tripped up on your words is something that one can easily fall victim to if they don't have dyslexia. So imagine how much harder it must be for someone who actually does have it. However, although that is a great feat, that's not the thing about the situation that impresses me the most. The reason for making this video is because of how Kenny handles this topic and jokes he gets about the mix-ups. In order to understand how he does this, let's go through all of the manners of response that I see as being exquisite. So the first attribute Kenny has is understanding. If someone else in his position were to see the constant memes in the comments making fun of something that personally affected them, there's a good chance that their response will take on a dark or aggressive tone, which they can't be blamed for. Alas, Kenny sticks out from the crowd, as although his comment section is constantly filled with people poking fun of him for calling Tayshaun Prince, Tyson Chandler, or something along those lines, he has the awareness to understand a couple of things. Although I can't fully know his method of being aware, I can speculate that he understands that his YouTube audience is ever expanding, which means even if he expressly states that he has dyslexia in a video, there will be a multitude of people who will not have seen that video and still make jokes in the comments. Also, he understands that there will be people who are too young to understand, as the majority of YouTube watchers are children, and people will make fun of him regardless. And because of that understanding, he is able to utilize his second attribute, which is humor. A lot of times when he either catches himself in the act of mixing up a name, or gets a lot of comments about mixing up a name in a previous video, he will take playful shots at both the audience and himself, all the while without seeming defensive. Through doing this, the people who make fun of him anyways are satisfied and may feel less inclined to leave those types of comments in the future. Plus, the art of self-deprecation caters directly to his audience of millennials and Generation Z, so he's responding intelligently and building up his character in the eyes of the viewer. That, in a way, reflects onto the third attribute, which would be openness. A mistake that I see countless creators make is being incredibly defensive or refuting things that they blatantly either do or act like. An example that I think fits well in this category is when the iDubbbz OnlyFans saga happened. The majority of people were clowning on him in jest, but there was a small population actually being malicious towards him and that relationship. Instead of passing it off as a joke in future videos and potentially shutting it down for the people who were genuinely making malicious stabs at his character, he took it personally and made a whole video acting defensively about it, which leaves him open for those people to increase their harassment, being provided proof that their efforts get to him. Now imagine if Kenny had made such a response where he adamantly refuted the people who make jokes about him. By acknowledging they get to him, it would only be giving them more power. But instead, he consistently manages to maintain a bright smile and personality and uses the three attributes I mentioned in order to deflect any potential hate. And this will bring us to the final attribute of the video, which is coincidentally what I will be using as the conclusion for this video. And for lack of knowing an appropriate word to insert here, I will just be saying that the attribute is himself. This also has the potential to be controversial, so buckle in. Even though Kenny has dyslexia, Kenny doesn't let that define him. There have been multiple cases where celebrities will speak out about their disorders and let them define themselves for the rest of their lives. They get so bogged down in either feeling like they need to be a savior for the cause, or that people only care about that aspect of them in either a positive or a negative manner that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they continue on to have the audacity to complain about it later. Here is where I must make a very clear point. This does not apply to people who have started or transitioned their careers into educating people on their specific issues. Creators like Dissociate DID and Molly Burke are actually providing an outlet for people with the same conditions to visit and learn from, as well as people who don't, to also learn and gain a better understanding. So to make that their main attribute for the sake of education is a completely admirable thing to do. Finally, we circle back around to Kenny. Although he does struggle on a regular basis with dyslexia, I think it is important to note that if anyone who knows him was to think of him in their mind and find one word to describe him, it would not be dyslexic. It would be something like Bulls, Chicago, Rose, Assets, God, Consistent, Kobe, anything but dyslexic. I don't think of Kenny as his limitation. I think of Kenny as his greatness, his potential, his ability to entertain, and most importantly, as the nappy-headed kid from Chicago who I used to run park with on 360. Thank you guys for watching. I know this isn't film related at all, but Jake and I are looking to expand into some different genres, and I definitely look out for his next video on Final Fantasy VII. Also, if this video gets 100 likes, I will actually make a video on the Genius of Flight Reacts. I promise. If you're watching this, Kenny, and you want me to take it down, I will most definitely do that, but if not, I hope everyone enjoyed, and I am excited to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.